What would you do if someone was pretending to be you, but no one believed your story? And what if it went on for years, like decades, and you ended up in jail for using your own name? Well, that's exactly what happened to William Woods. In the late 1980s in Albuquerque, New Mexico, William Woods was just another guy trying to make a living. He didn't have much, but he worked hard at a hot dog stand, spending long days under the desert sun. That's where he met another worker, a drifter named Matthew Keirans. At first, nothing about him seemed unusual. Then one day, William's wallet disappeared. He hadn't misplaced it, and Matthew was the only one nearby. When William confronted him, Matthew didn't argue, he just handed it back. Everything was still inside. William's social security card, birth certificate, and even the cash. William shrugged it off and went back to work. But little did he know that missing wallet would be the beginning of a nightmare that followed him for the next 30 years. Using William's personal information from the documents in that wallet, Matthew decided to start over as someone new. He left New Mexico for Colorado and, by 1990, walked out of a DMV with a Colorado ID that read William Woods. From then on, everything he did was under that name. It didn't take long before Matthew started causing real damage either. He bought a used car for $600 with bad checks, and when those checks bounced, the arrest warrant wasn't sent out for Matthew Keirans, it was for William Woods. Over time, Keirans didn't just use William's name, he built an entire life with it. In the mid-1990s, he got married as William Woods. A few years later, he and his wife had a baby who was obviously given the last name Woods, too. On paper, he was a family man with a stable future. He worked in IT, climbing his way into a high-paying position at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics, making around $140,000 a year. To make his fake identity airtight, Keirans even used information from Ancestry.com to request an official copy of William's real birth certificate from Kentucky. While Keirans built his great life, the real William Woods was left struggling out in Los Angeles. He couldn't open a bank account or apply for work without being flagged, and his credit was wrecked by bad checks, loans, and debts that weren't his. With nowhere to turn, he drifted from day labor to small jobs, staying in motels when he could afford them, and in shelters when he couldn't. He sometimes collected scraps and bits of gold from the jewelry district just to sell for food. And each time he tried to explain what was happening, that someone had stolen his identity, people just brushed him off. By 2019, William had finally had enough. His life was in ruins, and no one would listen. So he walked into a Los Angeles branch of a national bank where accounts had been opened under his name. He told the assistant manager that someone was impersonating him and that he wanted the fraudulent accounts closed. He handed over his social security card and California ID. Everything matched perfectly. But when the manager began verifying security questions tied to the accounts, William obviously couldn't answer. The manager called the phone number linked to the accounts, and Keirans picked up. He confirmed every account detail and claimed to be the real William Woods. He told them no one in California should have access to his information. To the staff, it looked like an open and shut case. The man standing in front of them was the fraud. Police were called. They spoke to Keirans on the phone, reviewed documents he faxed over, and arrested William Woods on the spot for trying to steal his own identity. William had been fighting this for years. He'd even shared his story online and appeared in viral videos, but few believed him. To most people, he looked like a homeless man rambling about nonsense. After his arrest, William entered the Los Angeles court system. From the start, he insisted, "I am William Woods." When he asked for an investigator or to contact the FBI, the court saw it as delusion. His own lawyer eventually questioned whether he was mentally fit to stand trial. That was all it took. The judge declared him incompetent, ordered him to stop using the name William Woods, and had him committed to Patton State Hospital. For more than 100 days, he was medicated and treated as mentally ill. When he was transferred back to jail, he kept insisting on the truth. But after more than a year behind bars, he realized no one would ever believe him. Out of options, he pled no contest to the charges just to get out. It was the only way to leave custody, even though it meant admitting to crimes he didn't commit. Even after all that, William refused to give up. In 2021, he finally tracked down where Keirans was working, still using his name, now as an IT specialist at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. He called the hospital's security office and explained what had been happening for decades. His report was passed to the University of Iowa Police Department, where Detective Ian Mallory took the case. At first, Mallory was skeptical. William had a long history of failed attempts to prove his story, and it sounded unbelievable. But when the detective started reviewing documents, he noticed something strange. Both men were using the same Kentucky birth certificate, which was impossible. When Mallory questioned Keirans, he dismissed William as crazy and said investigators were wasting their time. repeating the same narrative that had worked for years. But when Mallory asked him for his father's name, Keirans slipped. Instead of giving the name on the birth certificate, he gave his adoptive father's name. That mistake led Mallory to order a DNA test for William Woods. The results confirmed it. The real William, the one living in Los Angeles, was the biological son listed on that birth certificate. With DNA evidence, Keirans' story fell apart instantly. When confronted, he confessed to the scam and told investigators, "My life is over." In April 2024, he pleaded guilty to identity theft and fraud. The drifter who once stole a wallet at a hot dog stand and had spent 3 decades living as another man was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Investigators later revealed that Keirans earned more than $700,000 working at the University of Iowa Hospital's IT department and took out over $200,000 in credit union loans, all under the stolen name, William Woods. With Keirans behind bars, the real William Woods was finally cleared. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office vacated his wrongful conviction. But clearing his name didn't fix what had been taken from him. William had spent years locked up, drugged, humiliated, and labeled a criminal. When it was finally over, he had no home, no money, and no stability. William eventually returned to Albuquerque, working as a landscaper and trying to rebuild. He's spoken publicly about his case and hopes to pursue compensation for what he endured, but states that for him, it was never about revenge, it was about getting his name back.